Welcome, Mina. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on 5 Minute BI. You're known as one of the most professional, exceptional Power BI developers around the world and a true expert in data visualization, as far as I know. And your demonstrated background on winning prizes on Novi Pro, Maven, and have been connection with experts around the world like Gustav, like Federico, Sam McKay, and so on and so forth. Thank you so much. And I've been looking forward to this episode. And the all scene is yours. Go on.
Thank you. Thank you, Mahdi, for having me in. So today we will talk about the SVG code in Power BI and how to use it inside our DEX measures to visualize. So we will, our agenda for today is about answering these three questions. What is SVG code, firstly? Then why to use SVG in Power BI? And finally, how to implement the SVG in Power BI. So let's start with the first question. What is the SVG code? Firstly, the SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics. Is about a XML-based markup language designed to describe the two-dimensional graphics. So simply, it's a shape, is an icon, is an image, but it has been made with a code. It is an XML-based code. So let's see an example of this icon. It is actually a SVG image. What does it mean by SVG? So it has been made. It has been made with these syntax of code. This code rendered to this icon of Apple. So what does it mean to be scalable? As we know about the images PNG and JPG, when we enlarge, try to upscale, it becomes pixelated, become blurry. This doesn't happen with the SVG. The SVG, as far as we want to scale it, upscale it, it become very good. It doesn't matter what does the dimensions. So this is the main point of
it
SVG
saves the
images.
quality.
Yeah, exactly. So what is SVG? It is a scalable vector graphics. It's a code. It's a language, XML-based markup language, to display these charts. So we will see some examples to understand more what is the SVG firstly. Then we will dive deeper in how to use this SVG in Power BI in DEX measures. So let's start with this sample example. It is a circle. This circle is made of this SVG code. We know it's a circle because of this tag. It says it's a circle. Then some attributes to describe how should this circle be displayed. Another example is this rectangle, which is displayed as a square because it is 100 height, 100 width. Again, we know.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sure.
When we are dealing with a circle, I see we have a width and height. If our width and height are not equal, do we face an oval?
Okay, I will go deeper in, and I will answer your question later. Okay.
Thank you.
As we go on, you will figure out what does it mean, this width and this height. Okay, so firstly, again, this we know it is a square, it is a rectangle with this markup. This tag says it is a rect, x, y, width, height, and the fill, it is a blue. So again, this code displayed and rendered as this square or rectangle or whatever. Now, let's dive deeper in every attribute to understand what is this SVG code, what's the component, how these vectors rendered under each other to display to this shape, so we can then use it and identify how we can play with it in Power BI. So let's start with the SVG at the start and at the end. SVG tag at the start, SVG tag at the end of the code. As you see,
It's
SVG tag at
like
the
an
start.
HTML code.
Yes, yes, it's a XML based code. Yes,
Yeah.
you are right. So we start with a tag for SVG and end with a tag for SVGs too. Between them, we identify the width, the height, and the which shape we want to display. So this width and the height at the beginning, 100 pixels, 100 pixels is the canvas size. And now we don't have any shape. We just have a tag
Mhm.
for SVG, width and height for the canvas. This canvas, we will in the future build our shape on it. So it is a canvas, empty canvas. Then
Uh-huh. It's our
we
base to start.
yes, yes, exactly. Then we bought a XML namespace for SVG. This is a
Uh-huh.
standard. We bought this in every SVG image, XMNS, and this. So we don't know why we would do it. It is just in the SVG code. Then we start to build our shape. So for example,
I
here
can
we want
ask you
to
another
yes,
question.
yes, sure,
That
sure,
part, XMLNS, I think that
yes,
part, is it necessary for all SVG codes? It's the
yes,
primary part. Uh-huh.
yes. It's the primary. Yes,
It
we
must
need to
be at the
yes, sure.
beginning of all. Thank you.
Yes,
Our
yes.
SVGs.
The width, the height determines the canvas size. Then XML namespace for SVG. It tells the code it is a SVG short. Then, then we move to the shape. What we want to render. What is the vector of our shape? It's a rectangle. It's a circle. It's an ellipse. What we want to display. It's a line. So for now, our example, it is a rectangle. We need to identify where our rectangle will be and the x and y. So as you see, we put the x coordinate. We need our rectangle to start here. So x is 0.
Mhm.
Where is we want to start at y? This is the y-axis. So again, we want our
Uh-huh.
rectangle to start here. So again, y is 0. Finally,
Uh-huh.
we identify the width and the height, but now width and height for what? For our rectangle. We need our width and height for the rectangle to be 100 pixels, so it should fill all this canvas size. Now we want to take this SVG code and put it as a DAX measure in Power BI. So we want to make two major edits. Firstly, we add to our SVG code this name tag data colon image slash SVG plus XML UTF-8. We don't have to memorize it, just copy and paste at the start of our DAX measure
Uh-huh.
before the SVG code. So this SVG code for our rectangle, our square was 100 by 100, but before it, we showed this name tag, this tag. This tag is about to tell the Power BI to display this as an image URL. So our DAX would start with this, and we will change the data category of our DAX to image URL, so it will be displayed as an image URL. Was the
Uh-huh.
first edit. The second edit, single quote instead of double quotes. As you see,
Mhm.
before all of these was double quotes. Now it is a single quote. Single quote, single quote, single quote, single quote. So we
Yeah.
change all the double quotes to single quotes. We put this tag to change the data category as an image URL. So let's dive deeper and to take some examples of what shapes can we produce with this SVG code. Now I will deal with the SVG code normally without the single code, without the name tag for the data URL. So
Mhm.
again, with width of a canvas size was 100 and height was 100, XML space, we want to view as a rectangle. Again, the
Uh-huh.
X will start at 0, Y start at 0, width 100 pixels, height 100 pixels, fill blue. But now, as you saw, we change the shape by rounded corners. How we can
Uh-huh.
make this with this attributes rx by 10, ry by 10. So we made this rounded
Uh-huh.
corners with these attributes. What about we want to add a stroke to our rectangle? Simply, we add this stroke to be with color. What is the color of the stroke? To be black. Stroke width
Like, yeah.
is yes, exactly. It is a 3 pixels stroke. And what again? We change the fill opacity by 0.5. It is change the blue opacity by 50%. So all of these is the attributes we can change, we can play with in Power BI to serve our example. For circles, we change the rect to circle tag. CX is a center of X and center of Y, where we want our center X, center Y to be at 50. So if this is the X axis and this is the Y axis, this is 50 of X, this is 50 by Y, and the radius to be 40 pixels. Fill, orange, stroke black, stroke width 2 pixels again. And we finish and start with SVG tag, SVG tag. Now we will view very, very complicated attribute and shape, which is path. We can think the path as a pencil. We took our pencil with set of coordinates where to start this pencil to draw. So here move to 10 and 80. Move to 10x, x-axis to move to 10, and y-axis to move at 80. So we need to start our pencil to draw at here. Now, where to go next? We need to go to 50, which is the x coordinate to go to 50 and the y coordinate to go to 20. And we need to draw a line. So simply these two attributes draw a line from this place to this place. Then where to go next? We need to go to x by 90 and y-axis to go to 80. So to go to this point and again to draw a line. This L is for line. So we start here, go to here, and finally we put Z to close this. So we now have a rectangle and to be filled with blue color. I think it is a little bit complicated, I know. I take time and I made an AI to explain it for me. So then can I play with this coordinate to can manipulate it with our DAX measures. So this GIF is still what I said before. Start here, go to here, and close the line and fill with blue. So all of this.
It's great explanation for this SVG. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So at here we understand the basics of the SVG. We have a shapes, we have attributes to change the width, the height, the fill, opacity, stroke, and stroke width. But why? Why we need a SVG in Power BI? I think there are four main purposes of that. Simply, we need to enhance our data visualization. For example, you need a certain type of chart, certain shape of chart, but you can't have it as a core visual of Power BI or even as a custom visuals. So you need to make your own. You need a custom chart for your own purpose as these data. So you make this SVG, you tell an AI to build this SVG for you, and you simply render it at Power BI. Also, you can use SVG codes, SVG images as a custom icons for KPIs, as shapes. You can use it as your branding theme. For example, your icons of company, your logos can be rendered as SVG and embed it at Power BI. Or even as a conditional formatting, change the color by the changing of the values of your DAX measures. So simply, you need a chart, you need a certain customization that you don't have at the core visuals, the native visual, or even the custom visuals. You don't need to pay anything. Just build it. Even if you don't know how to code the SVG, use any AI language, any AI models to help you, ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever. It can build it for you. And you just take it on Power BI and change the attributes with your measures. So Let's see some examples. Some examples
So
of
it's
these systems.
okay to use, for example, ChatGPT for
Yeah,
generating
sure,
our SVG. It's
sure,
okay.
sure,
I
sure.
have so many codes found on internet from you and Kerry Kolosko and
Yeah,
Greg
sure,
Phillips and yeah, so many experts that I think
yeah, sure,
I can't remember now their names. They have shared their codes,
sure.
SVG codes, so we can use that code and uh, put it
Yeah, sure.
on LLMs, yeah, and
Yeah,
customize
sure.
it on our way. Yeah, thank you.
100% agree with you. You can use the templates to inspire your ideas, but what if you need a custom, you need a certain shape that you don't have a template for it? Then you go for any AI. I'm actually using AI models to build this with me. I understand the basics and start to build with it.
So
Identify,
even Mina Saad is
yeah, sure.
using AI to generate
Sure, sure.
SVG
Yes,
visuals.
sure. Yes,
Yeah.
sure. Yes, sure. By the way, I don't have any developing background or any programming background. So I start from scratch to understand what is the SVG, what is the HTML, what is the XML, and so, and try to understand it more and to play with it, how to develop it more complicated, how to take it to the next level. So simple short, as you saw, it's simply a rectangle, but how
Uh-huh.
we made this rectangle to be changed with our value simply, we substitute the width of our rectangle with the value of the measure. And I will show you some examples later on. This is a simple rectangle with Rx, Ry to make this rounded borders. And this text is also a SVG text, but instead of this width by 100 pixels we have before, we now substituting this 100 pixels by what? By our DAX measures in Power BI. And this
By
is
our
the,
measures.
yes, yes, sure. And this is the main point. We have a shape.
This is
We
the
have a,
exciting part.
yes, yes, exactly. We have a rectangle, we have a square, we have a circle, but we need to display it as our measures. So simply substituting the width, substituting the height with our DAX measures. This is simply. So for example, we have this rounded
Can I ask
bar
another
chart.
question now,
Yeah, sure, sure,
Mina?
sure.
Are these SVG visuals interactive or they're just
Okay.
an image at all?
Uh, it, it can be animated. Yes, we can play with it with our HTML and SVG codes. Yes, exactly. We can
No,
make
I
it
mean
animated.
interactivity. Can we
Interactivity in terms of,
select like bar chart to filter out the data?
yeah, sure, sure. I will tell you
Cool.
what. Why it is interactive? Because we embedded it in our core visuals. This is a table visual in Power BI. This is a supplier
Uh-huh.
name is a rows in our table. And what is the value? It is a SVG code to display and rendered as this bar chart. So we can click on this rules to filter all our data. Yes, it is interactive, 100%.
Absolutely great. I didn't
Okay.
know this part myself.
Yeah, sure, no,
I
no.
thought
So
it's a solid image to show just to demonstrate the
no, exactly, it
data.
is interactive too. This code, this chart is also SVG code. It is a simple rectangle. Again, it is a simple rectangle. Rectangle with small width to display the average. Rectangle with this green to display the variance. It is all about rectangles. Where to start, the x coordinate. Where to move to. What is the width?
Uh-huh.
All of this is measures with our DEX.
All the attributes are
Yes,
customizable.
this is the magic. Yes.
Yeah,
Again, this chart,
absolutely magic.
this waterfall chart is also SVG. It is a rectangle. This now we have the height to be substituted with our DEX measure for the previous year value. The handling is
You
also
have made a
substituted with our,
waterfall, I think.
yeah,
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 it's a waterfall visualization using
yes,
SVGs.
exactly, exactly.
Amazing.
Even these icons of the categories is SVG charts. It is a SVG code. and display it in the table matrix as a chart for each category.
Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
And here also, all of these columns is SVG. SVG about a rectangle to display the width according to the value. These labels is just a rectangle and bell shape. Icons, SVG. This is simply a circle. A
So
bar.
many SVGs.
Yes, yeah,
There
sure.
are so many
It
SVGs
become
in the
more
picture.
interesting to play with it. Yes.
Yeah.
And even this Sankey diagram is took for me about a week to make it. It's
It's a
a
Sankey.
yes Sankey diagram to display
Oh my
the
God.
flow. Yeah, the flow from orders, shipment, pending, cancelled, and these shipments, how much in transit, how much delivered, and to be interactive with the choose and filtered with the data. So simply it's a
I
rectangle,
think
as I
there
said
are
before.
thousands of code lines in your SVG
Yeah.
in this for
Yes, yes,
individual
yes, sure.
visualization.
Exactly. Yes. It is very, this chart is very complicated, as you said.
Is it
And
necessary to know SVGs, Mina? Or
okay,
it's optional, it's good to know?
I think it's a good to know. No
Ah,
mandatory.
it's optional.
As you know, we also are very good by reports without any SVG. There are many developers that use the core visuals of Power BI, and their reports is actually amazing.
For
Again,
example,
it's
Federico Pastor, he
yeah,
doesn't
yeah, for sure,
use any
sure,
custom visuals,
yeah,
but
sure.
fascinating reports.
Again, as I said before, when to use SVG, you need to add a certain data visualization. You need a custom chart for your purpose, for your data, for certain measure you need to display. For example, this we want to display the flow of our supply chain, so we need a Sankey diagram. So I
Yeah.
decided to make it with SVG. And here I want
So
to
the
give a
first
shout out.
part is choosing the right visualization.
Yeah,
When we are
sure,
going
sure,
to start, we are going to decide what visualization is proper
sure,
for our data, for our purpose. Then we start developing the diagram or
sure,
chart in
sure.
SVGs.
That is the
It's the
key.
main part.
Sure,
Yeah.
that is the main part. So I want to shout out for Kiri Kolosko, as you said before. Kiri Kolosko
Wow.
was one of, yeah, sure.
She's amazing.
She's amazing, and all of this is the templates that we can take it
Yeah.
and paste it on our Power
Please
BI and
stop this.
substitute.
Scroll up the scroll
It
up.
is
Yeah.
actually a video.
First time I saw the SVGs.
Yeah,
It was, I think, Enterprise DNA challenge, and
sure,
Brian Julius, I think, with some other experts, had made a line chart with gradient area beneath it.
okay,
And it was my first steps in Power BI world, and I was confused. Wow, what visualization is
sure.
this? What are they
Yes,
doing? And
yes,
after meanwhile, I realized that, oh, there are some SVG codes we can customize our,
yes, yes.
area charts. It was very great step for
Yes,
me
and
to
thanks for
realize.
Kerry. She make all these templates for free. We can just go on,
Yeah,
take choose which
her
visual we
her
want and
contribution
copy and
is
paste.
exceptional.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure. Can't agree more.
a big
So
shout out to
yes,
her.
sure. Thanks, Kerry. So now we answered the main two questions. What is the SVG and why we need SVG? Now, how to implement this SVG in Power BI? Simply three simple steps. We have the SVG to create this chart, this visual, this vector, to put it as a DAX measure. And again, two main edits, single quote instead of double quotes, and substituting the attributes as I said before with our measures.
Our
Instead of
measures.
this width of the rectangle, we put our DAX value. So for example, we need to view the bar chart for a cost, we put this width and substituting it with our cost measure, our DAX cost measure inside
I see.
our DAX. Yes. And single quotes despite the double quotes. It takes many errors to display what
It's
is the problem.
mandatory part
It is
to
mandatory. Yeah, yeah.
change the
Yes, sure,
quotations. Yeah.
sure. And then we change the data category of our DAX to image URL. So we tell Power BI this measure is a image URL. Display it and render it as an
Uh-huh.
image URL. Then finally choosing the visual to render it. So we can choose a simple table chart, matrix chart, or our new card visuals, or even the HTML content. We can use it to display this SVG. And I will show you one example of it. So the table before we show to display this bar chart is actually displaying this measure. This measure is about
Uh-huh.
some variables to display these, as I said before, the width to be the value and the text to be displayed as this format. So we made I made these variables to substituting these attributes. And starting here, we put our SVG code to display this chart, this image. Again, this is the data image XML. This is the data URL and our SVG attributes. As you see, it is a rectangle and substituting the width with our DAX value. This is the variable above this value and we substituting it
I
with
see.
our width to be interchangeable with our parameters. And after this DAX measure, we put the data category as image URL and displayed it as a table visual. So there are many complexity. I
Yeah.
know we can start simple, understanding, as I said here, this is the basics. There's some SVG attributes and shapes, and then build on some templates of me, of Kiriklosko, of whatever on the internet. There's many variable resources, I know. And then if you want a certain shape, ask any AI language model to help you to create this DAX measures, to figure out how to build this chart, these shapes, and substituting is with your DAX measures if you
Uh-huh.
want, of course. And thank you, Mahdi.
Fascinating.
Thank you, Mahdi, for
Thank you
having me
so
in.
much.
It was a pleasure for
Yeah,
me to
thank you
be
so
with you
much.
today.
I'm
Thank you,
so
Sam.
surprised the way, the story that you have created to teach us. I'm more fascinated with your way of storytelling. It shows that you
Thank
are
you.
an expert indeed, and the honor was all mine to have you here on 5 Minute BI. And your contribution to the Power BI community are exceptional. I wanted to thank you here, and I appreciate your efforts.
Thanks,
And
Mahdi.
it
Thanks for
has
having
been
me in. And thanks for your
yeah,
amazing series, by the way.
yeah, it's been a privilege to have you here for me and learn from you in personal. Thank you, Mina,
Thank you.
and I want you
Thanks, Mahdi.
promise me to join us again in future.
Yeah, sure. It would be my pleasure.
Thank you so much, and I
Thanks.
don't bother you anymore. Thank you for taking time to join us and share your knowledge. Good night, Mina.